What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Jacked Ramsays, Danny Meringue, and oh my God, out of nowhere, Brandon Sprague returns to the show. And let me make sure your volume is actually up because this thing is completely resetting on me. Let's check. Let's do a little live test. You there, buddy?
Yeah,
Hey,
You
look
can't
at
quit
that.
me.
Nah,
You can't quit me.
I try. I try.
Yeah.
Welcome into Jacked Ramsays. Like, rate, review, subscribe, do all of the things as usual. It is a. I'm not saying it's a one-time only, but it's a rare Sprague sighting in the wild. Going sleeveless, not shirtless this time. Yeah, we got a bunch of questions about you ripping your shirt off on the radio that we'll get to eventually. But we just want to dive right into it. It's been a while. The Blazers have been busy. Let's kind of walk through where things are because it's been a little while. We'll go through Ant and Jrue, drafting of Yang Hansen, Dame coming back, and then we'll get through all of the 40 or 50 so questions that we have here. We'll get through as many as we can. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds great, man.
All right, let's start from the top. Where do you kind of fall in the transaction tree, the trade grades, the feel of Anfernee Simons for Jrue Holiday?
Well, I mean, first of all, I despite what the opinions may be and how maybe we differ on some things to a certain extent, I just want to say, like, thank God. Now, did we all kind of think or hope Jeremy might be gone? Sure, but understand the contract situation. I'm just glad they're active. I don't know if there's anything less exciting as a fan or somebody covering a team than when the team is trying to build to be good, but not quite there and sits on their hands, right outside of an Oklahoma City roster situation. I at least applaud them for being active, being creative, thinking outside of the box and some of the things that they did. And so I just start right there. Now, the Ant trade, I had to think about that one for a while because I didn't. Here's a funny story, real quick. I'm in my driveway. I have partaken with end of the day. How could I phrase this?
Activities.
Mellow out medicine.
There you go.
Is how I will phrase it. And so I'm sitting in my driveway, and a neighbor of mine. Are you in my back? Did I freeze?
Yeah, no, I'm just laughing as it keeps freezing on your face randomly. Go ahead. It's just catching every little frame.
It's frozen on your face. I'm active. You're frozen. Yeah, it's annoying. I don't know why my internet sucks.
There we go.
It's really frustrating. Anyways, a neighbor tells me as I'm in the driveway, just like car pulls up, window rolls down. They traded Ant, and I'm like, what? They traded Ant. Shams just had it, and I just looked over and I was like, for what? And then told me the deal. Look, Jrue is a good player. There's no doubt. I didn't expect the world for Ant. I didn't think Ant really had a great year for himself. Ant's going to what seems like, I think, a pretty good situation in Boston, a really good opportunity if he stays in Boston. And we'll see where he goes from there. But I just thought it was time. It's not fair to Ant, but I think the nature of this beast is you kind of look at the way their depth chart was lined up. They needed to make a move. Now, you can certainly say, well, why'd they go get a point guard? I think Jrue is kind of a combo guard. Like, he can absolutely play point. We know it. But he just easily play the two. Mark, the injury stuff, is that going to linger? Is that going to carry over? And the contract is very expensive. But that's if he's here all 3 years. Overall, I'm kind of glad that Ant gets to kind of get a fresh start. It got a little toxic, I think, at times here. And they've added some leadership, some stewardship, I think, within that locker room to help a guy like Scoot.
I agree for the most part as far as like the style. Again, I said it over and over again. I think I told Dirt the day before Ant was traded I'd be more surprised if he was traded than if he re-signed because that was what I was hearing from both sides. And so for that transaction to happen, I was like, well, damn, that was a surprise. I've mentioned it before. It definitely caught Ant by surprise, to say the least. But the trade itself, number one, Jrue's been one of my kind of favorite, just basketball players for years. I mentioned this, one of the first things I ever wrote, like long form, was Dame's rookie year. I think it was game 4 or 5. They took on the Sixers when Jrue was there. And I was using Jrue Holiday as kind of a measuring stick against Dame. Because even early in Jrue's career, he was very good defensively. 6'4" guard, crazy long arms, just had a basketball IQ that was through the roof. And offensively, I didn't really care about it. I was like, this is going to be a good test for him defensively. And Jrue ended up being kind of basically the biggest thorn in Dame's side post CP3 like peak. So Dame's like first 3 years in the league. After that, it became Jrue. And obviously the playoff series against the Pelicans, Jrue and Rondo and AD just made Dame's life a living hell. I would love to hear those guys' discussion on that as they're sitting in the locker room together, kind of going through that series again. But you hit on one point there, the mentorship, as it were, for Scoot. I heard Zach Lowe, he had Howard back on today or last night, or yesterday morning, I can't remember, in the last 24, 48 hours. And Lowe basically said some version of, if you can't figure it out with Dame, Jrue, and Chauncey as your coach, as your like mentors and coaches, like this is the best mentorship a point guard could ever have. You have very likely 3 Hall of Famers in Jrue, Dame, and Chauncey. Chauncey already in, Dame assuredly, and Jrue very likely to be a Hall of Famer. He's got 2 titles, gold medal, multi-time defensive, all defensive team, 2-time All-Star. Like he's got all the bona fides. And so you've got an offensive point guard, you've got a defensive point guard, you've kind of got a hybrid point guard. So I think those are all good. And I don't want to beat on the mentorship part of it too much, because the idea that Jrue is just going to come in and be like, here you go, Scoot, is not going to happen. Like that's not a thing. Drew's not in the part of his career yet where he's like, I'm moving to the bench and I'm going to be just fine here. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think I agree with you, but I actually think it has to be reversed. I said this about when they got Dame back. It has to be the reverse. Like, it's not that veterans aren't willing to teach or give advice or give thoughts or whatever. Like, Dame's obviously going to help this year, but like Jrue wants to ball, right? If Jrue is here for all 3 years of that contract, then cool. But like, he also probably is open-minded and saying, I might still get another chance to compete on a title contender at some point. Either way, though, if Scoot goes up to a Jrue Holiday and picks his brain, Jrue Holiday's not going to be like,
no, he's not that guy at all. No. He
so
will help him a ton.
Yeah. So I said this when they got Dame, and we'll get into that obviously, but like, that to me, this is about Scoot. Now you can talk about fit and where it's going and what's going to be and all that. Like, that's fine. But like, on the mentor side, I always thought that was an overrated thing. Like, they traded for him to be a mentor. Like,
no.
They traded for him because he's a good player. He plays defense. He gives a damn on that end, and that's clearly their MO. But if Scoot goes up to him to pick his brain as like somebody trying to learn the game and the ins and the outs, Jrue will give him that advice. But Drew's not actively here to be like, I'm here to be Yoda.
Yeah,
that's
not at all.
I don't think that's what that is. So that's on Scoot, both with Jrue and Dame, in my opinion, to reach out and say, like, how can I get better maybe on the mental aspect, seeing some of this stuff, understanding some more of this stuff while I also play.
Yeah, this isn't going to be a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers situation where like, I'm not going to help you. That's not how Drew's wired, and neither and Dame either. But for Scoot, he's got to go out and kind of take it. We'll get back to that when we talk about Dame a little bit more, like you said. But the Blazers probably had the surprise of the NBA draft. Not probably. They had the surprise of the NBA draft, taking Yang Hansen at pick number 16. After now Summer League, you get to see 4 games of him out there and his production, how he looks, a style of basketball that he plays. Walk us through draft night to the end of Summer League, kind of where you were, where you ended up, where you are now.
I mean, draft night, I was like everybody else that had a brain. Like, who? What? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I had mentioned, I think I said this to my co-host, I was like, I had seen the name on the workout list. Like, I have heard the name on, like, first, second round mocks, but I didn't do any deep dive. I didn't know anything about him, just like a Chinese name. And quickly you do some research. Now, I wasn't one of the sickos that did the YouTube dives and I'm like, it's going to be this. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it might be some version of a Jokic, which is great. So I had to wait for Summer League, and I watched with my brother-in-law in my garage, and he is a sicko. He's a sicko to the, like Victor Kriapa just didn't get the proper chance. That guy was an all-time legend type sicko. And when he made that first back cut at the top, and it was a perfect little bounce pass, me and my brother both got out of our like lawn chairs, like, ooh! And like we were hooked from that point. It was, no offense to Caleb Love, the only reason to watch Summer League, because I think Summer League largely doesn't tell us a whole lot. And I know that's a little unfair to Ryan Repair, but he was the interest. He was what was interesting about those games. And even in the games where statistically it wasn't great, I still thought he performed well. He had some moments, sure, but I have the question mark of like, what is that depth chart? Because I don't want Rob Williams playing. Like, I already feel like they're a year past when they should have moved him. I understand what they see in him. We all agree of the player he is. That's not what the debate is. It's just, if he's not going to be here long term and that's a trade option, like, I don't want him to play. So is your depth chart Donovan, then Yong? Or is it going to go Donovan? Or is it Rob? You know what I mean? Like, I have questions of their depth and how that works. But I'm looking forward to seeing Yang in the G League, and whatever the 6 to 8 minutes starting the season end up being, and hopefully he can develop from there. It's outside of the box thinking. The intel basically is that like 2 or 3 other teams clearly wanted him or was interested in him. They didn't want to lose him. They like him. But I think we also have to acknowledge it's a little bizarre. Back-to-back drafts drafting centers when you had 2 other starting caliber centers on the roster, and they handled the DA thing, but it was a little like, wait, another center. And jokingly, I was like, what if they just played 5 centers at one point? Like at that point, because they had 5 guys, you could actually make it work. Young at the point, you got Wap at the 2, okay? Then we're going DA maybe at the 3, Donovan at the 5, and then Rob Will at the 4. We figure it out. But like overall, wondering about the depth with it. Interested to see where it goes from here.
Overall, I thought, I made this joke. I think I said it on the show. After his first half, I had a couple scouts that came up to me, were like, kind of looking at me like, yo, this is pretty interesting. One of them was one of the teams that was rumored to have a lot of interest, and he reinforced that they had him very high on their board. Had he been available when they were picking, that he was definitely in the group of guys that would get taken. But we were kind of talking back and forth. I was like, I think I've seen enough in this first half. They could like shut him down right now and I'd be perfectly fine with it. Like that was the like bigs at Summer League don't ever look good unless you're like a Wemby. And even then in game 1, Wemby did not look good. You remember everybody's freaking out about Wemby not looking good in game 1, then game 2 he was a complete monster. It was like, yeah, it's not surprising. But most bigs, they just don't really look good. Now, Donovan looked good defensively. He looked absolutely horrid offensively. Remember how bad that was defensively. He was blocking everything, grabbing every rebound. I thought Young did stuff that you just don't ever see bigs do in Summer League, particularly from the playmaking and just his processing and being able to pass guys open in Summer League where the spacing is basically a 4-foot hallway. Like there's just there's nowhere to move. And I'm very interested on the depth chart part of it. I'm not really worried about that per se. One of the things I was talking to let's say decision makers at Summer League is like, look at the Western Conference. Everyone's got at least 2 like starting caliber bigs, and usually a third that you could spot start. And that's just the nature of the beast where the NBA is going. I think certainly the 3 ball is still here and it's not going anywhere, but I think you're seeing a bigger, stronger, more physical brand of play where you've got to have the ability to, number 1, absorb injuries, but number 2, have like different styles to play. And Donovan and Hansen are so different offensively. They're just completely different looks. I'm really interested to see how that works. And if Rob's a guy who's doesn't play back-to-backs, gets spot minutes here or there and keeps guys fresh, I'm totally okay with it. Now, is Rob going to be good with that mentally? I don't know. He's at a point in his career where he's supposed to be kind of at his peak, but obviously the injury concerns are a real problem. So it's kind of like, it's a good problem to have. Oh no, we have too many good big guys. The Blazers are kind of looking at it, right? So I get what you're saying, but I look at that and I go, it's a good problem to have. 5 bigs, too many. 3 plus Duop, I'm okay with it.
Well, we know DA's gone, right? And then WAP is like in and out every once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
And I don't say this like in any kind of mean-spirited way. I zero faith Rob's going to be healthy. So I think
that's the question.
Going to work itself out. My thing about Yang is, I had to like balance my thoughts on him. Like I have absolute evidence seeing him make passes and reads, and what I really loved is how like directional he was, getting the ball at the top and kind of like forcibly moving guys and telling guys to move and like going up to him and not be afraid, even with that language barrier and being new, to kind of like say something very quickly that they could understand. And I love the competitiveness. I love the FU attitude he had with I think it was Memphis was like actively
Memphis and Golden State
him.
were both just he was driving
and
them
he didn't
crazy.
Care. He smiled and laughed about it. So he's obviously a little bit of a psycho. The other part, though, I had to balance myself because I didn't want to get over the skis. We always have to remind ourselves, and I had a nice reminder of this. His first game happens, and the next day I'm not paying attention to the earlier Summer League games, and I go to look at the box scores, and it's like, man, there were two names I hadn't even heard of, and it was like 19 points and 21 points. And I'm like, yeah, that Golden State team is probably the worst Summer League team
they were atrocious. They were atrocious.
But he showed enough flashes for us, I think, collectively to go, I see some stuff here. And it's just on him now to develop that, and we'll see how it kind of rolls out as the season goes on. The depth chart figures itself out.
All right, we had our dessert first, main course. Damian Lillard comes back to the Portland Trail Blazers. What was your thought process on where were you, what happened, how'd it go, and then kind of where you are now?
Holy yes. Funny thing. So you and I are part of the Fan Sports Network, and we had a mighty big week last week. We launched on the FM signal, which if you just look historically, it's easily the biggest sports radio moment in Portland history. That meant a lot. And I don't know if there could have been a better first day than Dame Lillard audio press conference. He's back. We get to talk about it. I was listening to your show, and I was in my garage gym, Arnie's as I like to call it.
There you go.
Getting my lift on, and I just happened to have a break in between reps. And I do this thing like when I go on social media, I check for 20 seconds. I open it. I just scroll.
Any breaking news kind of thing? Yeah, I do the same thing.
Did I miss something? And if I don't,
boop, right back to it. Yep.
It's a waste of my brain. And I just happen to open, boom, I see Zach Lowe. There's interest. And I went, Zach Lowe doesn't break player movement news. And maybe a second and a half later, I scroll up, Bill Oram. Blazers and Dame are finalizing. And 2 seconds after that, Shams Charania. Blazers have agreed to a 3-year deal. And I remember just like being floored. I like dropped my phone. I'm listening to your show on my stream. And I could tell you hadn't looked at your phone because it was in the middle of a segment. And I'm listening and I'm like, oh my God, they're talking about baseball or something. He hasn't checked his phone. You guys went to commercial break. And the funniest thing was you came back and you just you bulldozed Patrick out of the play. You're like, we got breaking news.
Yeah, I was like, nope. I looked at him. I go, nope, I got this. What's funny is I got a text a couple minutes before the news came out, and you're right, I hadn't checked my phone. And
we don't actively do a radio show and go, yeah.
If you ever watch the YouTube feed, I've got my phone next to me face up, so if it's something crazy like that happens, I see it. But I had put my phone back down, face down, for some reason. And so it's buzzing, and I get a little thing on my wrist, but nothing. The text message sometimes doesn't pop up. And so I didn't see the text of what was coming. And I was like, went like this during the break, and I went, oh, crap. And I just started, I told him as we were coming back, I got this.
That's how I found out. That was how it all went down for me when it was announced that he was signing back here on a 3-year deal.
Where do you kind of fall on it after hearing Dame's presser this year, next year, the future? Where are you kind of going?
I mean, look, I trying to be as level-headed about all this as I possibly can.
Don't.
I mean, look, no, there's absolutely an emotional side here.
Yes.
That I would say I mean, I feel stupid saying it. I think I underestimated it somehow. And I'm not somebody who takes it lightly and what it meant and how much he's impacted lives and fans. And like, I'm not somebody that's like, it's overrated. But like, legitimately a text, crying emojis, and holy crap, I'm stunned. And, I had a couple people, not on my text, but I talked to in person. One diehard Blazer fan, like diehard fan, like, talked about how hard it was for him and his wife because they had felt like, a lover had left them and now was trying to, and I'm like, well, I mean, we can get into the weeds on that if we want, but okay, I think you're going to view differently in about a week. Overall, man, it was just like such a cool moment, right? Like you and I, we can debate, you could yell at me, we can disagree on some roster fits, but there is no doubt that in this climate, where it's constantly like championship or you're a bust or how good is this, like constant debate and quick to be angry, dude, all-time cool moment in sports. Like how often, I'll challenge you this, I know he's injured, so that obviously plays a factor here. How many times does the guy even come back with years to play, right? Like I'm a big Niner fan. Jerry Rice didn't come back a Niner. He was a Raider, and he was a Bronco, and there was a Seahawk era in there. And like, I choose to disregard almost any of it. He didn't come back and play like 4 years for the Niners. Like, this is a real historically unique thing of guy clearly didn't want to leave. We all knew it. He basically said as much through media, and he didn't get a clean opportunity with Giannis. They didn't play that many games together. Suffered the worst injury at his age, and it just lined up. And I'll say this, and I'm not, there's no sourcing here. I did reach out to a team official, and I text, you guys did one of the cooler things you could have possibly done, and I hope you've heard enough compliments about how special that was to people. And I thought that was necessary. But the thing about Dame is the impact of the press conference, having him back just talking in the Dame, like Portland's cool and I'm being here. And I just kind of thought like great moment. Also, just my 2 cents. I understand it's not a lot of money per year. It's what, 14 million, it's the mid-level. I thought a little, because I had a couple people asking me like, 42, huh? I had Milwaukee people text me, 42. And I went, a little bit of a mea culpa. They didn't want to trade him. He didn't want to ask for a trade. It got to a weird spot. And I think they give him a deal that works for everybody.
Not only that, there's some language in there that's going to be interesting when it comes out. So,
care to elaborate on that? Or are you just going to be a little dirty contract?
A little contract tease. But
he likes teases.
There's...
People go to the Acropolis for steak bites and tea shows.
There you go. I mean? There you go. That's how it goes. Little tassels. I'll give you a little tassel.
Why don't you be an Acropolis and give us the details?
There you go. We had the reaction show where I told everybody that was upset about money or this, that, or the other, or frustrated or had these questions. I'll say it again. Go fuck yourself. Period. Point blank. Fuck your feelings. I don't care. I don't. It's cool as shit. Period, point blank. It's amazing. It's awesome. There's nothing about it that's not good. And being in the room for Dame's press conference, all of us who have covered Dame's career, for the most part, we were there. It's me, it's Hyken, it's Casey, it's Richmond. Like all the guys that have been there for a long time, we've been around Dame for a long time. We all had the same thoughts. It's like, wow, this felt normal. This felt the same. Like there was just something about it where you're like, he got up there and did a 20+ minute press conference like it was nothing. Like I'm sure, Blazers PR did their usual thing about, doing prep or whatever, but you don't need to prep Dame. You don't need to prep Joe. You don't need to prep CB. Like, you just don't need to do it. And he got up there and he answered the questions the only way that he can answer them. Like, there was just something about that. And, we were talking after the press conference, and I was like, man, this feels right. And he's like, it's perfect. It's perfect. Like, the man could not stop smiling. Like, he was just grinning from ear to ear the whole time. It was just, you could tell everything about it. He and even now, a week 2 removed from it, he's still the same way. He's genuinely excited to come home. He's excited. He's genuinely excited about this team. I've told you for years that the team that he wanted to play with was the team that they've been building. And I think there's a lot that can come out of this. And obviously he's not going to play this year. And, we can get into that. But everything that's this, what this is and what this means, I've seen people they're just doing this because they're selling the team. Doesn't impact that. They only drafted Yang Hansen because of the value of the Chinese market and what it adds to the team. It doesn't affect the bottom line. Those things don't affect bottom lines, not at that scale. Will you move some more jerseys? Will you get some more sponsorships in the meantime? Probably. But in the grand scale of things, players come, players go. If you're talking about Cooper Flagg or Luka Doncic or Victor Wembanyama, one of those kind of guys, they can maybe move the scale of your franchise that much if they were to be sold. But even then, it doesn't really impact much. But I did ask Dame, and I'll give you the credit here. You gave me the question to ask about being the flag bearer for the city of Portland. And I think that's a huge, huge deal because it was, what are we, 2 days removed from Adam Silver talking about his preference for Portland, for the team staying in Portland. I don't believe for a second this team is going anywhere or will it go anywhere. But having Dame here, at least optically, does act as a sense of an anchor and an advocate for the city in a way that nobody else, maybe in this roster or this franchise's history, could do.
I mean, it's first of all, obviously he's here. The family thing was massive for him. $70 million to not play basketball for a year is nice too.
Ain't bad. The Milwaukee money spends the same.
I don't know if there's a world that exists where I'd be miserable making that $70 million that first year. I'm very curious to see how this unfolds this season. Because you mentioned the low thing. I mean, when him and Howard Beck are talking about players, and they mentioned a player from the city you're in, Scoot being one of the more intriguing players is absolutely on my radar. Mm-hmm. And I'm so curious to see what it's going to be. I thought he had some real moments of growth where I'm like, I can see this. Now, to their point, man, if he doesn't shoot a certain percentage, he's ultimately always going to kind of tap out. Mm-hmm. And he'll kind of just be a really good physical distributor of the basketball who really can't be trusted. So I'm hoping that shot can kind of get that consistency and continue to grow the way we saw it grow last year. I don't even think it's a negative. I don't. I can acknowledge how awesome and unique and special it is. What I would counter, though, is just I don't know. What if Scoot has a great year? And Dame is on track. They're doing the right thing with him. He's not forcing it. He's not going to come back. At his age, the best thing to do is be gone for more than a year. Have those extra months, carry it over, be in shape, be ready. And the world is Jrue, Dame, and Scoot. And, if Scoot does have that nice leap year, is it clear cut that it's Jrue off the bench? Because I have a hard time seeing Dame Lillard in a Blazer uniform come off the bench. Unless he's voluntarily saying, I want to be the sixth guy. I want to give those buckets of death when I get out there. Great. Then we've solved that problem, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
That's just the thing that lingered in my mind after the Dame presser was, what if Scoot does take that step and Jrue is fine and Dame is on that track to play at the start of the next season, how that all works? Because I have a real hard time mentally seeing Dame Lillard in a Blazer uniform, not in a starting line.
Not unless he doesn't have it, and which I have no reason to believe that he wouldn't have some of it. I've said at worst he probably comes back at 70% of what he was. He believes he's going to come back at 100%. I don't really think there's a guy that's come back 100%. With that stuff, number one, I don't.
The worst case scenario is he's 70, because I think the worst case scenario is he's 60, maybe 55, just because of the injury to age.
We've seen this before with other guys, and then they don't take that much of a hit. Not now.
Well, but the only thing I would say about that though is the other guy.
Well, you've got Clay, KD. Did Clay take a hit? Yeah, but you didn't see him take.
Just being physically different.
Yeah, it's just a different way you navigate it. And for Scoot, if he does take the leap, he better take one hell of a leap. because you're not going to unseat a Hall of Famer without taking it from his cold dead hands. You know what I mean? And that's a good problem to have, because if
I agree. I was going to ask you, give me numbers in your mind that's like, take the hell of a leap. What's the hell of a leap for you, Scoot?
He's got to be at least 18 a game. He's got to be at least a 37% three-point shooter. The finishing at the rim has got to at least be passable. Like, he's got to be around probably 60% at the rim, which he did improve to at least, 56 last year, I think is what it was. The turnovers has got to go down. And the playmaking's got to go way up if he's not going to be a 20 plus or 24, 25 a game guy. Like, there's kind of a slider effect of, like, if you're not going to score, the assists have to be up. If you're not going to have as many assists, the scoring's got to be up. If you're going to be a lead guard in the NBA, unless you're Jrue Holiday and you're the best defensive guard in the league, you've got to have something else that you kind of bring. So, like, I've said for a long time, I think Scoot's kind of, I don't want to say ceiling, but like most likely outcome is some version of like 18-7. Which is, it's a really good player. Like, if you look at the guys that average 18-7, you're looking at, the upper echelon point guards. But he has to take that leap. I'll put it this way to you: is this a make or break year for him?
Yes. How is there a different answer?
I'm with you there. There are people like, he's 21. How is it make or break? It's like, well, he's going into year 4. Like, this is like
make or break here. I tend to believe, my fundamental belief is that, like, age be damned. I think we lean on the age too. Like, if you are a certain thing by year 4,
you've got to show something more.
Yeah, and like you can give me those rare examples, like
Norman Powell at 31.
Yeah, or Chauncey Billups. You know what I mean? Like, you can give me an example.
Those are exceptions, not rules.
Right. Yeah. And so, to me, the rule, like Shaden this year, we're going to find out. Like, I kind of think that the interesting thing is, obviously, Dame's going to get the biggest ovation in street clothes game 1. That's like not even close. When they do the entire team announcement of the starting lineup for the season,
and Mason's going to call him out last and let the place blow up.
It's going to be Thunderdome. Yeah. And I'm trying to buy tickets to that game just to hear that ovation. But there is not another answer that exists in my head of this is make or break for Scoot and Shea in a Blazer uniform. I can't talk about what Shea's going to be in 4 years if he's not here. I don't even want to try to guess what Scoot is in 4 years if he's not here. I just think when I look at them, this is their make or break season. Dame's not playing. Jrue's here. There's some defensive help. Deni, 2, right? You've got Donovan. We'll see what Jeremy's going to be. Really bad year. We'll see how that goes again this year. They need the scoring from Shea. They need Scoot to be a little better than they need these to happen. And if they don't, I think it's a make or break year for both of them in a uniform.
Yeah, as it pertains to Shaden, it's even more kind of a make or break situation because he's going into a contract year. And I got a question last show about, and I think it was popped up again, like, do I think that Shea or 2 will get contract extensions this summer? No, I don't think they will. Unless they're willing to take I don't want to say discounts, but take a very team-friendly deal. I
wouldn't be mad at that $489 for 2, though, right now, just to see.
Look, that's the thing is, like, the Blazers want those guys to be worth that. You know what I mean? Like, they want to pay guys their money if they're good enough. Like, for 2, the $489, like, I think after next year, if he continues on the path that he's already gone down and adds a little bit to his game, let's say he's like a 16 point a game guy while being one of the 10 best defenders in the NBA, while being 6'8", and adding all the things like being the best in the league, taking charges, being a plus rebounder, just like all of the little intangibles that pop in there. Yeah, you want to pay a guy $22 million a year to do that because every team in the NBA would kill to have that guy. With Shea, he's got to go from a 17, 18 a game score. He's got to be like a 23, 24 a game score. Like, he's got, or at least show that he has the capability to do that more consistently if he wants to get paid. Because his path to getting paid is not the same as 2's. I don't ever see a world where Shea is a plus defender. Can he be passable? Yes, absolutely. But a plus defender, I haven't seen enough from him to make me think that that's in the cards. Do you think
you didn't catch Tim Legler on the broadcast in Summer League, did you?
I got feedback on that, and I was like, I love legs. He did not watch Shaden Sharpe play.
he did not watch the – and he was like, he's more than just a highlight player. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I think
he was a 31% three-point shooter. Like, and I had somebody the other day reach out and like, well, he had that one year where he was 36, and I was like, yeah, well, the rest of his career, he's like, again, the exception, not the rule. Like, you've got to go – he's got to be a plus shooter. He's got to improve his handle. He's got to be more aggressive. He can't kind of disappear, meander through games. Like, he's got to find other ways to impact it. Like, he has the talent. There's no doubt about that.
My thing with him, and like, I loved doing the baby Kobe thing when he got in the league. That was fun. My thing with him is like, I've thought for over a year now, and having watched that season, I just don't see a dog. And I know that's so corny. It's so cliche. It's not really a basketball breakdown, X's and O's. But like, when I watch him, I don't always feel him. And he has moments, certainly has games and moments where I'm like, yes, let's go. And then he has another game and it's like 7 points, 1 for 8. And I'm like, did you play? And that's been my thing. I don't need you to be Mr. Rah-Rah vocal guy. We have a lot of history and players in the league that don't do that. But, man, when you're kind of drafted and looked at and talked about as like this high ceiling dude who is explosive as an athlete and has this ability, it's like when I can't identify your voice in a voice lineup, there's a little bit of like, and then I watch you play and it's like sometimes it just looks like you're about to yawn. I feel like sometimes I watch him and he's about to have a yawn and I'm like, I don't want to feel that with a 6'5", 46-inch vertical leap player. I want to be like, oh, he's in. Here we go. Like, I want more of it. And I get it from Deni. Certainly get it from Toumani. Had moments of it from Donovan. Hell, I had a couple moments with Scoot even, like in moments in games last year. I just don't feel it with Shea. And I'm not abandoning, but I'm not going in with a lot of like optimism. This is going to be some crazy leap from what he largely has been.
It's going to be interesting to kind of see how he comes out because, again, it is truly make or break for him in the sense of the contract world because if you've been paying attention, Jonathan Kuminga, Josh Giddey, Cam Thomas, Quentin Grimes, the RFAs, they can't get money unless they're going to take significantly less. And this was the thing that I talked about with the CBA was that I thought this was going to come. We talked about this, I want to say a year or 18 months ago about what it was going to look like when we got through a full cycle and all of a sudden teams started looking around at their cap sheets and went, we can't continue to just hand out max contracts because the guy's good and young. You have to be great and young.
The league needs to change the second apron. It's ridiculous.
It's not going to go away anytime soon. So it's
just like for a league that loves to tout how many viewers they have on Spider-Man basketball digitally, you need to take your head out of your ass and you need to say, all right, is this good? Like, what do we like? Oklahoma City, they took care of their guys. They did the right thing. They won a championship. In 2 years, are they going to keep all those dudes? Probably not. Like, you can't keep 3 guys anymore. And
it was fun watching CJ try to sidestep those landmines on the Old Man and the Three podcast last week. I was like, oh, buddy.
I think fans lose, man. Like, it's not that owners get to save money or it's good for parity in the league and whatnot. Like, I think fans lose with this.
I think it is good for parity. I do think it is good for parity.
But see, like, this is where I slightly I think you can keep these great teams together and still get different outcomes. Like, I don't have to feel like Minnesota in a year has to break up, or Oklahoma City, or fill in the blank Eastern Conference team that is healthy again. Like, I don't like to see that, and I still feel like if you have these teams and they're healthy, and I know the East is decimated right now, I think you can get different outcomes even with retaining these contracts, these players. And unfortunately, the league and the situation has these teams going, I can't pay that third guy.
Well, the other part of this is, and again, I'm pro-labor in this instance in a sense, but like, if you're not a max guy, you shouldn't be asking for max money. Like, that world needs to go away. Like, SGA getting his contract, great. Chet got all that money. He took a little bit less than the max, but it's like, are you on the same level as insert player here? And it's like, no, you're not, because you can't stay on the court.
Sign him to that deal because he's 7-1 and he's like already this.
And he's already missed, basically 2 seasons. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, there's, the argument and or discussion and whatever you want to call it that I've always had with people, if you take LeBron James in at peak Miami, and you say that's a number one player, that's a max player. To me, there shouldn't be another player in the league that makes more money than him. And everything should kind of slot off that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's baseball.
But yeah, like that's kind of how I look at it, how I think it needs to go. And I think if that happened, like if the 40th best player in the league was making 40th best money, as opposed to, well, this team has more money, so I'm going to go there, or I'm going to stay here, and that's going to cost us, again, I'm pro player getting their money, but you have to kind of fall in line if you want the middle class to actually be middle class, because right now there is no middle class in the NBA. CJ said something about the middle class is better. It's worse off than it's ever been. I will argue that until I blew in the face with him. The middle class is not the best it's ever been. There is a sizable gap of players that are not getting the 25 to $35 million contracts. That doesn't exist anymore. You're either getting paid or you're getting an MLE or less, unless you've like worked yourself in this weird little area. You know what I mean?
It's the one and done to me. It's like ultimately it's about protecting these people from being stupid. And I hear you, but I disagree. Like if a guy wants to give damn near max money to a player that we all go, what? That's on him. Like be smarter, have smarter people around you to make better decisions.
Yeah, the Bulls, the Pelicans exist for a reason.
Well, so do the Raptors, because Ingram got $120 million.
Yeah, they gave him $40 million a year because they traded him ahead of time, and they went, "Oh, I guess we should spend the money." And it was like,
yeah, I mean, let teams do stupid things. I'm not pro like stop these guys from making.
But that's the thing is, I think it's more that than anything else. Teams are they're done being dumb, and because the second April forced them to not be dumb. Because if they don't have a mechanism in place that keeps them from being dumb, the vast majority will be dumb.
I mean, it's no different than teams in the NFL drafting quarterbacks that aren't worthy of being drafted or traded up for. Right? You and I grew up in an era where there was player mobility. The idea that like that just started when LeBron was in your team is the dumbest narrative to exist in sports. But like we did grow up with teams that didn't win championships and just said like we're running it back
with mild tweaks here or there.
Yeah, minor tweaks like, hey, how can we make the Sonics good? What if we added Sam Perkins? You know what I mean? Like,
but you had a much more stringent salary cap and owners weren't spending.
Well, yeah, I mean,
so it's kind of operating as that in this era.
I'm just saying, like, we grew up with a lot of continuity, and I think what's tough is the league is so driven by the buzz and the idea of breakup and trade that I don't know.
As opposed to the game itself.
I loved it. Yeah, exactly. Opposed to the game itself. I just love to see nucleuses together and grow because not everybody's going to win title year one. So I love to kind of see the growth and the development.
I'm with you on that. Let's bang through some of these questions before we get you out of here. DJ Wilson, who among the Blazers roster do you believe will have the most technical fouls next season? I think it's a great question. Like, who is the red ass on this team that's gonna write a check?
Are coaches allowed to be an answer?
I mean, sure, you could say that. I don't think CB's gonna be on that because he doesn't like writing checks.
Okay, let me think of a player. I think I'll go Donovan.
That's a good answer. It's a good answer.
Sneaky Donovan. Little FU energy. Year two, I'm here to dominate. I'm in better shape. Like, you're not bullying me around anymore. I'm going to go Donovan.
I'm going to go same position group, but I'm going to go wild card. I'm going to go Yong.
I like the guess. I just don't know how many. Like, I don't know what that minute distribution is going to be like.
I think he's going to play 18 minutes a game. Donovan can't play more than 28 a game consistently over the season. Like, Young's going to play.
You think Young's going to play 18 minutes?
I think he's going to play 16 to 18 a night.
Like to start the season?
I would say probably early 14, 16, bumps up to 16, 18, finishes probably right around 20.
Wow. See, I had that at, like 6 to 8 to start and then work your way into that.
I think once he finds his footing, he's playing 20 a night his first year.
Wow.
Donovan's 7'3", 290 pounds, man. He can't play 30. He can't play 30 a night.
Send down to Summer League. He got on that Luka Doncic diet right now, buddy.
Somebody told me he was at like 282, I think.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
So but he's just so big. It's just
he's massive.
I brought this up so many times I can't even count. I think I was like, it's guys that are over 7'2" in the NBA since like 1970. 14 total players have played more than 28 minutes a night. It just doesn't happen. Like when you're that big, it's just.
There's no Rob Will. They're going to have to play Young that many minutes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's like, and
you think he gets the most keys?
So here's the thing about Young.
I worry about the China part of this.
number one, he's for all of like
the guy that gets technical is like doesn't want to be that guy year one.
Well, here's the thing. I was watching him very closely in those 2 summer league games I was down there for, Golden State and Memphis, and he was right in front of me. He doesn't speak English, but he knows how to talk shit.
He does.
And I will tell you this, when he spins, that elbow,
there's a little chicken wing.
It is up there. I was talking to one of the coaching staff. I'm like, y'all need to like let him know that if he does that to a Morris twin or, a guy like that, he's going to get hit. Like he's got some instigator in him. Like he knows how to do the little hooks. Like he played the CBA. Like there's some stuff over there. Like he said that the NBA is more civilized than the CBA. So he's got some shit to him where he knows some of the tricks already and how to get under a guy's skin and how to just like, not even when he's posting up, like just kind of get under a guy, grab his shorts, hook him a little bit, throw a little elbow here, smile after he hits a bucket on you and hit you with a little something. Like my over-under, if you want to go real psycho bet, the person most likely to hit somebody with a too small, the first person to do it this season is Hansen. And I love that the camera is frozen on your face with your eyes closed right now. Just truly perfect stuff. Do we still have you? Oh, we lost him. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. It looks like the internet crapped out on him. All right, so I'm going to bang through a couple more of these questions here. Oh, you back?
I'm back. You froze at the funniest moment. You were like, somebody getting hit with a too small.
Oh, see, you're the one actually freezing because
I know.
But you froze like this. So, yeah, that one. Hold that face so when it freezes again. All right.
By the way, if it's a Morris twin he hits with an elbow, there's going to be a fraudulent response to that.
You're not wrong. We've already kind of asked some of these in one way or the other. Here we go. One from Nick Kohler. With Simons and Ayton both gone, who do you see picking the most scoring load? Do you see both Deni and Sharp averaging 20 or more a game next season?
Dude, that's kind of my point. I know we talked about it. Like, the defense is going to be good. I know how you feel about where it can be, like, top-end wise. This is my concern with the team. Without Dame in this season, and I'm a little worried. I don't want the Jrue injury stuff to carry over. A little worried about it. It has to be Shaden. Like, Shaden has to give you 20 or more a game. I think Deni can definitely get there. Toumani can give you a couple more, but I don't have a lot of faith that offense is going to grow to that extent. And then who is it? Like, that is if the Blazers season isn't what people think or hope, why is that? It's that reason right there. It's the scoring. Absolutely agree with you on Orlando-ish, like be long and defensive and athletic. Part of Orlando's problem, though, was the injuries with Franz and Paolo happening like back-to-back, but also they didn't have a lot of bucket getters, which is why you get Bane. So that's probably my biggest concern is where that offense comes from because it has to be Shaden. And if Shaden doesn't do it, danger territory.
I think you're probably looking at Deni leading the team in scoring. I think he averages 21, 22 a game. I've mentioned this before. I think the offense is going to be very Deni-centric going forward. I was talking to somebody with the Blazers at Summer League and just kind of how things are shaping up and how we're lining up. And I was like, yeah, offense, shooting is a little sparse. And he's like, yeah, well, we don't have a guy who's going to bomb away from three, but you've got like 5 guys who are going to take between 4 and 5 threes a game, plus a couple here or there, plus a couple here or there, a couple here or there. And he goes, ultimately, it's going to come down to first to 100. It's going to be Lawler's Law. Like, they're not going to score 115 points a game. But if the defense is as advertised and they're a top 5, top 6 unit in the league, and you have efficiency with what you play with and you're better in transition, like the Blazers were great in creating transition opportunities, they were horrid at converting them. Like, you couldn't be much worse if you tried to convert them. If they can find ways to do that, that's helpful. I don't know how much implication that has on like future, like playing in the playoffs, but this past year we saw teams in the playoffs for the first time in a long time get out in transition and actually score. It was actually kind of weird, but like, that's weird. Even though the Pacers and Thunder played at a slow pace, it was like a 107 pace, which is glacial by today's standards. There were still transition opportunities. Like the games the Pacers won, a lot of them, they were just like beating them in transition and getting easy baskets. If the Blazers can be that kind of team, I'm at least optimistic for their total output. And we'll leave this in with the last question because we're running a little bit late right now. Lincoln asked, do you think we'll have a good idea what this team will look like long-term after this year? And then follows up with, and what should be their goals in the tough Western Conference in the next few years?
Well, will we have a good idea of this team long-term after the year? To answer that question, in my opinion, no. I think we have an idea, but no, because I think the league is constantly evolving. I think player roster moves and player uncertainty in some regards with contract stuff. I think this team's a big mix of, you have some vets you can absolutely rely on. And by the way, I put Deni in that conversation. I know he's age-wise young, but he's played enough years in the league, in my opinion, to
he's
say,
a vet.
That's a bet that you could trust.
It was the same thing with the situation with Ant. Yes, Ant was young, but you know what he is.
Right. Toumani, growth, massive. Donovan, growth, massive. We'll see what Yong's going to end up being if he's playing 25 minutes a night, whatever it ends up being. But you got two old guards on this team. One's coming back from Achilles next year, and the other one, they had to do medicals to rescind the 2 second-round draft picks before they cleared that. And then there's a lot of Scoot uncertainty. So I think there's a world where they're better. Maybe they're a 9 or 10 seed and they get into that play-in, which I think is the bar they've kind of set for themselves after Joe said it's winning time for the Blazers. But I don't know if you can clear-cut say what this team is after this season. I still think there's some moving parts to be had to try to figure out, because right now it's kind of in that middle ground of some young guys with question marks, but some vet guys that we know what they're capable of. How does that all kind of mesh together and work?
I think you'll have a pretty good idea of what the foundational kind of core is going forward. Whether it's Scoot and Shea, or Scoot not Shea, or Shea not Scoot. I think you'll have an understanding at least. And then year 2 of Donovan, you'll kind of see okay, is he going to be kind of Rudy Gobert-ish where, you're hoping to get something from him offensively, but defensively he's one of them ones, and he puts himself in the conversation for being on the U.S. Olympic team in 2028 in L.A. because he's just so good defensively, you have to have him. Deni, and I think this is kind of where this part of it goes, is you understand he's very good now. Can he be great? And great doesn't mean he averages 25 a game, but if he's a guy that averages 21 and 8, 21, 8 and 5, he puts himself in the All-Star conversation. Now, is he a first team, second team All-NBA? No, but if you project forward a couple years and he's doing that on a team that's winning 45 plus games, you could see him sneak in and get a third team All-NBA guy. Is that the best player you want on your team? Probably not. But if you've got an all-defensive team member in Toumani, you've got a fringe All-NBA guy, and one of Scoot or Shea pops, and Donovan looks like a defensive anchor, I think you start to have at least a clear understanding of, right now you have 2 guys that you know for sure are dudes going into their primes, and 2 in Deni. Beyond that, Shea, he could be great. Scoot, he could be great. Donovan, he could be a great defender. Dame, what version of him do you have when you come back? Jrue, when you talk about the medicals and stuff like that, I was able to confirm that it had nothing to do with lower body stuff, which is always the thing that I'm worried about. If it's lower body related, I'm oh, not at that age, which is why the concern for Dame. Does Yong pop this year? And then pop doesn't mean he's rookie of the year, but you're oh no, he's going to be a player. Adam Mares, when Jokic was drafted, even when Jokic averaged 8 and 4 in summer league, Adam could not shut the hell up about how great Nikola Jokic was going to be. He's no, you don't understand. This guy's different. This is after 8 and 4 at summer league. You know what I mean? But there was just something there where you're just no, this dude's good. I'm not saying that Yong is Jokic. I'm just saying, just talking to guys around the league, they're there's some stuff there. Now, what level do those things get to? We'll see. And I think that's going to be the interesting thing is and it's not make or break in a year for Yong or any young player, but you typically tend to see the markers of where those things are, which is why Scoot's rookie year was kind of one of those, yikes, that's tough. There's not a lot to go off of there. You know what I mean? And so I think after this year, I don't think you're okay, we know, but I think the window goes from a big window to a much tighter window of understanding who you are.
I think the window part of that question, though, in the West is it's impossible to answer. I tend to lean no, because until they find a true number one, you're always kind of just saying, well, they have the pieces. It's just like you don't have that main piece. And so until you answer that question or get that piece, you can say like this piece is nice and that piece is nice.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be a limit on it because you got to have that one.
Because you got to go up against Wemby and SGA.
Yes. Yes. And Ann Edwards.
Yeah.
And Luka Doncic.
Yeah. A lot of talent in the West.
Even the Clippers, it could not work for the Clippers. I still think Clippers are always going to find a way.
They're going to win 48 to 50 games, and like the I can't remember who reported it, but this was the number one thing going around Summer League, other than the rookies, was LeBron getting out of LA and Giannis going to the Clippers.
So you got Dallas too. By the way, Kyrie's going to come back. Cooper Flag is there now. Houston just added Kep. Like you have such a gauntlet, and I just you need that one. You get that one, then great. We can start to solve some of that stuff. But otherwise, it's like, hey, got some nice pieces. Then it's nothing more.
How many games do you think they win this year? They won 36 last year.
I'm back and forth on this. I've had scenarios in my head where I think some things go against them, and I've said like 34.
So I'll say this: I strongly believe that the roster is where it's going to be going into the season.
I tend to agree with that. I'll say they get to 39.
Okay, that's fair.
And I think I'm pretty confidently saying they get in the play-in.
I don't know if that's enough to get in the play-in. I think it.
Well, they were 36, right? And last year wasn't Phoenix the 10, and they were 2 games back.
I might be 38 or 39, but again, it all depends on kind of how things shake out. Like
it's such a gauntlet, though. That's my point. Is like, damn, dude. Like who beats who and who gets hurt and who doesn't get hurt. Like that's ultimately what's going to drive most of that stuff. But I think even if everybody's mostly healthy, 39, I think can get you into the play.
It might. Let
me confirm that real quick. Keep going.
I'll just say I've said I think they're going to win the same number of games, and I don't.
36?
Yeah, I don't say that as like a negative. I just think that they're not going to be complete dog water for the first 2.5 months of the season, and then go on, win 11 or 13. I think it's going to be more balanced.
Yeah, it was correction. Dallas. It was Dallas as the 10 seed. I forget. Not Phoenix.
Oh, that's right. They ended up winning.
And it was they were 39.
Yeah. So could that get
39.
them in? Yeah. Could it be a tiebreaker situation? You just don't know kind of how it's going to shake out. I think 10-11 is kind of where they're going to end up. But again, the 36 wins is like, I think it's just, again, knock on wood. It's health dependent as always. If they're as healthy as they were this past year and they get some more developments and they make more sense, they're just not going to get their teeth kicked in like they did to start the first half of the season last year. And it was like, well, if they're better in the beginning of the season, then they'll be great. It's like, well, I don't think they're going to win the way that they won down the stretch. You know what I mean? Like where they're not going to pile up wins in 2 months where they basically won
10 out of 11 and go in.
They won 20 something games in like a 30 game window. And you're just like, I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're probably looking at probably like 18 to 20 wins, some version of that in the front and back half. Now, could they be the team that does better in the first half, that tries harder, so to speak, down the stretch run where some of the older teams maybe are resting or some of the more secure teams are resting and they get a couple wins here or there? Sure. And that's where I think you saying 39 is not out of the question. I just think they're not going to have a, just crank it on level of effort to get it done. So
36, by the way, like I think people would say disappointing. Largely, I think that would be the majority, but like technically hit the over.
That's what I mean. They're 34.5. Like I don't think that's crazy. I've seen some people like, oh, I think they're going to be a 7 seed. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that. I don't know. Because like once you get past the top 3, you're just basically looking at like 7 teams that you're just like.
You need injuries to really kind of go your way to get, I think, to that level.
Look, yeah, and if that happens, that's probably the most likely outcome is that, Memphis continues to just be saddled with injuries and Jaw's just unplayable.
Sacramento's weird.
Which we all kind of know, but I
Suns are Devin Booker and nothing else right now. Like Utah is going to be dog crap. Like they're actively trying.
Utah's probably going to be the worst team in the league by a pretty sizable margin. For them to get
not Debanza. Like I'm so rooting hard against.
Have the worst record in the league and pick 5th.
Yeah, like I understand what they're doing here. They're playing the math, but like the Debanza thing is. It's just so obvious.
It's a little too on the nose when Ryan Smith and Danny Ainge are sending money to BYU. Yeah.
We're going to take Yusuf Nurkic on. Like, okay, clearly we know what you're doing.
So, all right, anything else you want to put in there?
No, man. Just thank you to all the listeners that were tuning in for the week for the shows on the FM dial. We're so pumped to be there. Obviously, it's a little bit of a dead spot with Blazer conversation right now, and football season's around the corner. But Blazer season's going to be here before you know it. And I know Danny's going to have a ton of coverage of it. As much as Danny may hate me at times, we'll talk basketball. Look, good conversation.
I was very hungover. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you were so angry.
I was very angry.
Great conversations. Hoop season's almost here. I know you guys are going to continue to follow what Danny's doing on the Patreon and on the podcast. We're just jacked, man. The FM dial is great. It doesn't happen without great listeners. So to everybody out there that does, dabbles in both Blazer podcasts and sports radio in Portland, even you Reddit sickos who seemingly hate me now because of a tweet you misunderstood. We love you.
How does it feel, Brandon? How does it feel?
I'm going to tell you something. Trust Tree? Is this Trust Tree?
Yeah.
So I saw that they aggregated that tweet when I was like, wild that Tibbs gets fired and Chauncey got an extension. And that wasn't to say that, like, I'm lacking context. I just coached my daughter's basketball team. And, like, coaching is nerve-wracking. Whether you're summer ball, whatever, like, it's got to be such a brutal profession to achieve what Tom Thibodeau did and be told you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Well, seemingly the other side was like, hey, Chauncey, great steps. We loved what we saw. Extension, 36 wins. That's all. It was just like how crazy that job's got to be. And, of course, that meant I had no context. I'm an idiot. I responded. Somebody pointed it out to me, and I jumped in the chat. And I said, yo, way to take everything out of context, losers. And, nobody responded to the comment, but I was like, why did I respond to this? It's ridiculous.
And as Brandon mentioned, we are on the FM dial now, 105.1. And not only that, Brandon is also an hour longer now. From not longer 6 to 9, 6 to 10. They still don't know what they're doing in that hour yet. And
we're having fun.
Yeah, you are having fun. It's great.
We are having fun.
And
it's the perfect time to have fun.
And the best part is I get to come in there and see you guys every day now and rile up dirt.
You're very good at that. It's what USC takes me to say.
Yeah,
and I go, I don't know, man.
It's fun. It's fun. But I don't get to see Isaac and Suke anymore, but now I get to see you guys every day.
Absolutely, man. So we're rolling on, and thanks everybody for supporting and following along. It's been a ton of fun this past week, and we're just getting started. So you and Patrick sound great. We're excited for what the fan is kind of heading into, going into football season and basketball season, and so hopefully only positive things from here.
Yep. Like Brandon said, you can catch us on 105.1, the Fan Sports Network, simulcast on 1080. Live and local coverage from 6 a.m. until 7 p.m. 13 straight hours of coverage now on 105.1 FM. Thank you all for everybody who supported us during the change. It's been something we've been working through for literal months now, and it was not easy to keep quiet. And for us to be able to do this as quiet as it was, to one day have all of the moms and Taylor Swift listeners now all of a sudden have to listen to us, has been interesting, to say the least. But thanks to everybody that's made this switch successful, and we're really excited about where it's going to go going forward. I will venture to have Brandon on again as we get closer to the season. Somebody was like, "Is Brandon going to be on Rip City Wrap Up?" I'm like, even on an East Coast game, Brandon has been in bed by 4 hours by the time I get on air.
I saw that question. I'm like, dude, what? Do you know what? I wake up at 3:45 now.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I get on air on average like at 11 o'clock.
I'm not kidding. I've been waking up at 3:45 lately. About a month ago, I was trying to start for that, and I woke up and I rubbed my eyes and I just opened my phone because it was right in that heart of free agency, and I'm like, did I miss anything? And I opened the phone and I look and it says Danny Meringue 2 hours ago, and I went, dude, this guy's tweeting 2 hours before I wake up. It is nuts. And now obviously your time slot's different, but. Which has
been a change.
I would say.
Yeah,
I would say.
I made it in with about 10 minutes before today's show. So
I saw that.
Yeah, it wasn't on purpose. I may have made a mistake with my phone and my alarms. So with that, like, rate, review, subscribe, help us grow the show, do all of the things. The plan is to have the Yang Hansen video Summer League party, watch party thing on the Patreon this weekend. I will send an invite out for that in the next couple days if you're a Patreon member. I also have a couple more write-ups coming up. on a couple different players that will be hitting that soon. So if you want to check that out, patreon.com/Jacked Ramsays. And as always, you can find this podcast wherever you get podcasts. Brandon, thanks for taking some time, man. We ran late, as we always do. We'll catch you the next time. And then if you want to catch either one of us on air, Brandon from 6 to 10, and then Patrick and I from basically any of us from 6 to 1 p.m. Makes it easy.
10 to 1. 10
Yeah.
to 1.
Well, I said 6 to 1. We're between both of our shows. I made that as difficult as humanly possible. There we go.
Yeah,
all right, everybody. Take care. Have a wonderful night. Talk soon. Bye.